How are you?
I heard you.
Good. I like this color on you.
I do. Yeah, I know you do.
I see you. I see you. Okay. You have somewhere special you're going?
What?
I said, do you have somewhere special you're going?
I used to know. I used to go to
Oh, you like baseball? Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
I can't remember.
I guess.
Good morning and welcome to this morning's worship service. My name is Mark Weber. We are the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. We are here in this place of peace and reflection. This place will heal our spirits, warm our souls, and change our hearts. The theme of our service this morning is, whose house are you living in? And our service leaders are Reverend Randy Partain, Dr. Alan Georgia, Mike Carney, and Karen Tooley. And now for a couple of announcements. It is with some reluctance that I invite David Cantor up to give, hopefully, an announcement.
Thank you, Mark, I think. Yes, I'll keep it brief. No hot air, I promise. So, good morning, everybody. I'm David Cantor. If you saw any of this past summer's Sunday services, in addition to the terrific stuff you saw from Alan, Randy, and company that we're used to seeing, you heard from a number of your fellow congregants sharing their personal spiritual credos, sharing their thoughts on a wide range of topics from good and evil to is there a God to what's the scoop about heaven and hell. If you're like me, you heard some of them and you went, wow, that's really interesting, thought-provoking, insightful, pick any other positive adjective, even when Mark spoke. And you may have thought, I wish I could think through my spiritual beliefs the way they, she, he did. Well, the folks who shared their credos didn't just create them out of the blue. And now you have the opportunity to have a similar experience to the one that they had last spring by signing up for the Adult Credo course. Facilitated by Melissa Vandergriff, and heaven help you, me. The Adult Credo course will be starting in 3 weeks on October 10, and we'll run 11 or 12 weeks, depends on how quick the progress is, with a holiday break. It will take us into sometime into late January, early February. All sessions will be conducted via Zoom and will generally run for 90 minutes, typically 9 to 10:30. So you'll have the opportunity to make it to the Sunday service in person. During each session, you and your fellow congregants will explore your spiritual origins or one of the bigger issues like the ones I've referenced before. If you ask prior course participants, they'll tell you that each session left them with more insight and oftentimes with more questions too. Alas, that's the life of the Unitarian Universalist. But it's more than just this intellectual exercise. During the course of those meetings, the building of community, the collegiality, the building of congregational polity, all those kinds of things just come out to the forefront. So please feel free to reach out to Melissa or me with any questions you have. If you'd like a spot in the next session, please email Alan, Georgia, or me ASAP so that you can be registered for the course. No walk-ins allowed. I'm not going to be too salesy here. I know he's a sales guy. Not too salesy here, but there really are a limited number of slots. We target a maximum of 8 people, and this could fill up quickly. So I'm looking forward to our next round of spiritual exploration through the course. Hope you're doing with some of you. Thank you.
David, thank you. It was a little longer than we had expected, but that's okay. Sharon has kindly reminded me that this Friday at 7 o'clock, there will be a movie night here at the church, I believe sponsored by the worship team.
Membership.
Membership team. All right, membership team. Sorry. And our final announcement is back at the sign-in table where you came in. There are cards for newcomers to fill out so that you can find out more about us and us about you. And also there is a book for anyone to write any joys and concerns that they would like to have mentioned in this service. And now they're called to worship.
Welcome to this sacred space this morning, made sacred by your presence. You could have chosen to be present in so many other places today, across the street even, where we hear people cheering on a sporting event. But maybe we can be as enthusiastic here as we join together in partnership to create a home, a family of our choosing that lives up to our greatest ideals and shows the world what a vision of peace and hope and liberty might look like. Thank you. I invite Drew Watkins up to light our chalice this morning.
And as we have lighted the chalice, our words for the chalice lighting: love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I invite you to come forward as you are willing and place a stone in the water for any joys or concerns you brought with you today. This isn't to get rid of them. We don't release our concerns or our joys when we put a stone in the water. But maybe by sharing what we have brought with us into community today, our joys can be magnified in community together, and our sorrows perhaps lessened a bit as others share that burden with us. After the service, I invite you to share a little more deeply about the things that are on your hearts today with one another. We do have a couple of concerns and joys that are written in today that I'll share aloud as you come forward. We place a stone for Cat White's mom, Margie White. And we place a stone in memory of an old friend, Thomas. Please come.
Not just I think so far we're doing good.
Good thing.
all that you have brought with you, all of your joys, all of your sorrows, all of your hopes and concerns are welcome in this place. We place one final stone for those joys or concerns that may not have words yet to express, may not be bubbled up quite yet. All of those things that we bring together in community with one another. And now, as awkward as it is in these times of masking and social distancing, I invite you to take a moment to just welcome one another. Please be mindful of the colors of name tags that people have on. And you know that the red name tags are please keep your distance. The green name tags are I'm feeling really great and safe today. And the yellow is somewhere in between. Be mindful of that as we take a moment to greet one another.
Oh, thank you so much. Hi, I'm Sharon. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. My Maggie here, so I know
Oh,
she
okay.
was there too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you.
May nothing evil cross this door, and may a fortune never pry above these windows. May the roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This hearth, though all the world grow chill, will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, watching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
Good morning. On this extremely bright and beautiful day that is in no way bleaching out the screen that all my words are on. That's no problem at all. This morning, we're talking about homes and houses. And it's very apropos to myself because right before the pandemic started, right in those few months before everything changed so drastically, my wife and I finally did that thing that adults do, that thing that defines being a grown-up in America. We bought a house. It was also it was a fascinating experience for me because I am not from Cleveland, and there's no way to buy a house here without learning a great deal about Cleveland and its history. Everything that we looked at, all the houses are older, all the neighborhoods are lengthy traditions and heritages and different things. And the house we ended up purchasing, 100 years old this year. Now, I say it's remarkable and amazing because I have a very, very weird introduction to what houses were growing up. Because in a weird way, some of my most memorable experiences as a child actually took place playing in abandoned construction sites and half-finished homes. Because I grew up there at a time when the population was booming. In fact, the city my family moved to in Florida was the city that in that decade was the largest population increase in the U.S. Census, was this town that we ended up moving to. Of course, that's the big thing about South Florida. There is no history there. There is no, like, my experience here in Cleveland about buying a house could not ever happen in Florida because everything is brand new. Everything is being built. Everything is recent. That's the old joke about Florida. No one's from Florida. Florida is a place you end up, not a place you come from. That being said, so the neighborhood we actually ended up moving to, of course, is in the process then of becoming. It's not a thing yet. It's notional. It's in the process. The Great American Housing Development is what all these sort of areas around Florida were, and it just so happened that the housing development my family chose to, just perfect fashion, as if we had planned it. The developer went bankrupt about halfway through the process of building this development. So everything around you sort of felt new and like sort of fast, but in this particular area, everything was left in a paused state of half completion. So everything was still being built around us, but in our particular case, it was like we were frozen in time. And as a result, it did not necessarily feel very much like homes were people were going to live, like a village that had stories, fences that you talked over, and where you knew the person who delivered your mail. Instead, it was these half-finished homes. We used to call them skeleton houses, as in like the sentence, hey, let's go ride our bikes out to the skeleton house on the other side of the lake. I looked in vain this week for a great object I could bring to illustrate this story. And I just couldn't come up with anything that was quite good enough. First off, model houses didn't quite do it, and there weren't the sort of thing that was really going to kind of capture my story. So I have to invite you into a sensory experience here. If you'd like to know what it's like to play in a skeleton house as a 10-year-old, I like to imagine the smells. So you imagine yourself in this very echoey room, a room that is feeling like a living room is also open to the elements. And all around you, what you smell is like drywall and like fresh pine wood, maybe some rusty nails that have been sort of dropped all over the floor. Nothing was completed in these homes. It was more like you were seeing the insides of the thing that everyone else lived in. So when I got back home as a kid, it was impossible not to imagine that the home I was living in used to be this husky thing that I was playing in all in the afternoon. Now, I can't even imagine the world that existed when the house I live in now was built. Cleveland Heights in 1921 is before even my grandparents were born. Now I have to deal with the opposite experience of Florida, which is that everything in my house is old. I have old knob and tube electrical wiring, and I have old plumbing that can be finicky. In fact, I have a doorknob that has fallen off a door that I cannot figure out how to fix because this thing is so old, there's no like materials for it. This is all a lesson, an illustration in how much what actually makes up our homes are the abstract and immaterial things that go into making a home. Spending time surrounded by drywall and spackle and seeing huge flats of tile just sitting in abandoned corners, seeing what is going to eventually be a former dining room but now is like infested with birds. This really reminds you of what material things go into building a house. And just as much, it reminds us that this thing that we call a home has so much more to do with the people and the space and the personal touches, the memories, the lived inness that can come only through time and intention and care. And that holds true whether your house has just been finished on a fresh piece of paved over swamp in Florida, or if you buy a house built by someone else, lived in by generations of other families. The thing that makes a house a home is never in its skeleton. It is always in the lives we live inside of them.
Centering portion of our service with reading a poem by the Reverend Sandra Fees, and the title of the poem is Another Direction. Reverend Fees is the minister at the UU Church of Berks County in Reading, Pennsylvania. She writes, moment comes when a choice arises, a holy moment. A decision must be made. Do I remain as I am, or do I risk inching, leaping, flowing in another direction? Do I risk what I think I already know and already am? Do I forfeit my security for the possibility that a simple shift may alter the course of my life and may perhaps alter the life of another? I long to let go of all that restrains me so that I might pursue the impossible and surmount the insurmountable.